2005 King Kong movie is one of the highly underrated dinosaur movies I've ever seen, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Peter Jackson, you are a master.
일어나라 일어나 으쌰 으쌰 으차차 힘내라 힘내라 으차차 깨어나라 깨어나 으쌰 으쌰 으차차 힘내라 힘내라 으차차 이처럼 일어나 비틀비틀 오뚜기 삐뚤삐뚤 오뚜기 으쌰 으쌰 으차차 힘내라 힘내라 으차차 덤벼라 덤벼라 덤벼 덤벼라 덤벼라 덤벼 덤벼라 덤벼라 덤벼 덤벼라 덤벼
Finally, another LBT review video. What do we got? King Kong? You mean that awesome looking movie with those underrated dinosaur models? Yes. Today we have the extremely bizarre King Kong from 2005, and it was directed by Peter Jackson. And once again, hey Mighty Dino fans, LBT75 here. It's been a while since I haven't been doing LBT reviews a lot lately. So before we start this review, I just want to give a couple of shout outs to a few of my friends of mine, like CinemaSans. He's a really good YouTuber and a new good friend of mine. I highly recommend you guys go subscribing to his channel. Unknown Flickz is second, and he's a really underrated YouTuber, but I'll admit some of his videos are pretty good and some of his movies are extremely nice. And last but not least, Dino King 213. Yeah, he did an amazing job with his reviews, rants, and all those other stuff. I highly recommend go checking out Dino King 213's videos and his channel. So with all that said, here's the review of Peter Jackson's King Kong. So the review of King Kong sets in the 1930s, where we have this filming crew with Dino. They go to Skull Island. They encounter a giant gorilla named Kong, which is this prehistoric ape. They encounter other species, non-extinct dinosaurs, a group of natives, and other stuff too. So when I was younger, I really loved this King Kong movie. Not the 1993 version, the 2005 version made by Peter Jackson. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. After rewatching the 2005 King Kong movie when I was like an adult, I'm not gonna lie, this version of King Kong is one of the most highly underrated dinosaur movies I have ever seen. It's right up there with Speckles the Tarbosaurus. It's right up there with the Lost World Jurassic Park and some dinosaur movies that could be highly underrated. Yeah, I mean, this movie came out in 2005, the same exact year as Robots and Disney's most insulting looking movies, Chicken Little. Oh, and by the way, get out Chicken Little, because Peter Jackson's King Kong kicks ass. Like I was saying, dinosaurs are better, and Disney will never win. I still like some of their movies. Let's get into the things I liked about the movie and some of the things I did not like. Let's go on with the positives. First of all, Kong is amazing. Yeah, this version of Kong is more like a CGI gorilla with all these scars and injuries, and he's a pretty likable character. Same with Dino, which is a supporting character or some protagonist, I don't know. I'm not a fan of human characters nearly as much, but the only human characters that I would care for are the Monsterverse and possibly the Jurassic World series, which those are my favorite types of human characters. But the human characters there, I don't really remember their names. The only human characters that I would remember in this movie is Dino and Carl, who is this greedy rich guy who just wants nothing but money. Some of the characters are really likable, like Kong and a few other side characters. Or not to mention that the dinosaur scenes, like a stampede of brontosauruses, those non-extinct brontosauruses from Skull Island, and they encountered those venatosauruses, which is pretty cool and pretty interesting to look at. One of my favorite scenes in the movie would have to be Kong fighting not one, not two, but 3 hungry Vistatosaurus Rexes. And speaking of Vistatosaurus Rexes, their designs look really cool. They look really amazing. And yeah, those Vistatosaurus Rexes, they resemble that of Tyrannosaurus Rexes with crocodile-like scoots, and they look like an early concept of the Tarbosaur characters that we see in Speckles the Tarbosaurus. And those Vistatosaurus Rexes, they look very terrifying and really dangerous looking. Far more dangerous than the Rexes that we see in Primal. Yeah, and I like how Kong fights one of the Vistatosaurus Rex by taking his jaw and snapping it off and killing it at the end. It was terrifying. And the way Kong roars in Skull Island, it was amazing. I mean, so amazing that it made Rexy from Jurassic World look like a masterpiece. And just want to let you know that Kong as a character never does things wrong. It never screws things up. He's just a very likable character. Oh, and Kong's death is probably one of the most saddest death scenes I have ever seen. The way that I saw Kong die, I was crying. I was like shedding my tears in front of this death scene of Kong, and it was pretty sad. You can actually feel sad for Kong when he dies at the end, because it's one of the most emotional looking scenes. Oh, and not to mention the score by James Newton Howard. I didn't even know that he was the one who composed the soundtrack for this movie. I mean, yeah, when I realized that, I searched it up. It's actually by James Newton Howard, the same composer who did the soundtrack for Dinosaur and Atlantis the Lost Empire. Those are the really, really good movies that James Newton Howard composed. I didn't even know that he composed soundtrack for this movie, which is really, really amazing. And it looked like the soundtrack that came right out from Dinosaur and Atlantis, but different. And now get on to some parts that I didn't like about the movie. Yeah, I'll admit that there are some pacing issues with the movie and some of the deleted scenes. Like the characters encountering this unknown ceratopsian that looks exactly like a Chasmosaurus mixture with Pachyrhinosaurus. That wasn't part of the movie, which pretty sucks. And that fish scene where the characters are encountering this giant prehistoric fish, that wasn't added in the movie. I mean, and those scenes that, yeah, those are my meanest problems with the movie. The movie would have been better if they added those scenes, like the ceratopsian fight and the fish attack. That wasn't part of the movie, and those are my main problems with it. Overall, I can't think of everything wrong to say about the 2005 King Kong movie. I think it's a well-crafted looking movie from 2005. The visuals look good, and they still hold up today, just like Dinosaur and possibly Speckles. The story is alright, it looks original, but they extended it to make it much more longer. But it would have been better if they added those scenes, as I mentioned. The characters are likable, like Anne and Khan, and the fight scenes between the dinos look amazing. And not to mention that I forgot that the characters fight a bunch of bugs, which, sorry if I didn't mention it. But overall, I can't think of everything wrong to say about the 2005 King Kong movie. I would rather put this in my top 10 most highly underrated dinosaur movies I've ever seen, and possibly the best movies in the early 2000s. That's right, it will go that far. So overall, I'm going to give Peter Jackson's King Kong a 9.1 out of 10, and it gets a straight up A-. And without a doubt, it definitely deserves the LBT seal of approval. This is a really fantastic movie. Again, not as good as Dinosaur and Speckles the Tarbosaurs, but still a highly underrated dinosaur movies. And it's a highly underrated gem that deserves to be more praised, and it deserves more than that. Like I said, it's one of the most highly underrated dinosaur movies. Not as good as Dinosaur and Speckles, but still a really good movie in my opinion, and it still holds up. And that's just my review of the 2005 King Kong movie made by Peter Jackson. I hope you guys enjoy this review, and please sure to like and subscribe, and if I'm missing anything, let me know down in the comments so I can do it in another video. And once again, LBT75 here. See you guys next time.